What if the town you dream of is real? And what if it's waiting for you to never leave? Welcome to Marrowick, where every night pulls you deeper and every waking moment fades away. Don't blink. Part 1. The Name in the Fog. You don't normally forget your own name. You don't normally forget where you were born. But Dr. Ellis Crane had begun to doubt even that. Ellis was a respected sleep researcher, known for her work on shared dreaming phenomena and lucid cognitive states, clinical, rational, grounded. She never indulged in dream journals or talk of premonitions. Her world was data, EEG readouts, peer-reviewed papers, until Marrowick. It began with a patient named Alan Wexley, mid-30s, graphic designer, no prior psychological history. He'd been referred to Ellis after waking up for 23 nights in a row, screaming a single word, Marrowick. Every time she asked what it meant, he grew pale. Not scared, ashamed. He spoke of a town, one with streets like veins and a heartbeat you could hear in the lights. He couldn't describe it clearly, only the feeling it gave him, that he didn't belong anywhere else, that it wanted him. In stage 4 REM, Alan would sit upright, eyes closed, and begin to draw. Over and over, the same map. A little town between two hills, one main street, a church with a crooked steeple, and behind it, trees that curled like ribs. Ellis searched for Marrowick. No results, no maps, no databases, no mentions. It simply did not exist. Alan's voice trembled during their third session. "You've been there too, haven't you?" She said nothing. He leaned in closer. "You just forgot." That night, an unmarked package arrived at her office. No return address, no postage, just her name written in black ink. Inside was a weathered brochure. Marrowick, Virginia, folded in thirds, faded ink, elegant lettering, where dreams feel like home. On the inside panel, a photo, children on a carousel, early 90s. One child was circled in red, Ellis, 7 years old. She stared at the photo for minutes. She remembered the hair clip, the crooked front tooth, but not the town, not the carousel. That night, she dreamed. The street beneath her pulsed softly, like something breathing. Lanterns flickered in rhythm, casting long shadows. The air smelled of lavender and ash. The trees seemed to watch. She walked barefoot. The cobblestone was warm. A man stood at the end of the road, tall, dressed in black, face long and wrong. When he spoke, his voice echoed, like a whisper from a deep well. "You forgot where you were born." Ellis tried to respond, but her mouth was heavy. She turned. The buildings shifted behind her. Streets twisted in impossible ways. The town folded in on itself, then opened wider. She woke, gasping. 3 a.m. Her hands were dirty, brown earth packed under each fingernail, a pine needle stuck to her wrist. She looked to her desk. Her session notes were blank. The recorder was off. Her office plant was blooming. Alan Wexley was gone. His hospital bed was neatly made, clothes folded on the chair, and on the pillow, a porcelain pin shaped like a street lamp. It pulsed once, then went still. Part 2. Do you remember Marrowick? It started with a newspaper ad, a folded copy of the Richmond Gazette, dropped by accident in the University Cafe, left behind by a man Ellis never got a good look at. She wasn't in the habit of reading classifieds, but something drew her to it. A listing, homes for sale, Marrowick, Virginia, 3 bedrooms, gaslight charm, warm streets, warm sleep. Her hands trembled as she traced the faded ink. She flipped the page, and there it was again. An old crowd photo from a 1987 church picnic. Dozens of faces, laughter frozen in time. And in the second row, a woman with pale eyes and a heavy braid. The same woman Ellis had passed in her dream, standing beneath the breathing trees. She blinked, and then her phone rang. She almost didn't answer. Unknown number. but curiosity beat caution. She pressed the receiver to her ear. The voice on the other end was her father's. Her father, who had died 6 years ago. It wasn't a recording she recognized. It was an old voicemail. It was clear, real time. He spoke softly as if waking from a nap. "Ellie, you been sleepwalking again?" A pause. "You know your way back. You always do." And then, just before the line clicked dead, "See you back home in Marrowick." She dropped the phone. Her breath came in gasps like something heavy had curled around her lungs. She needed answers. She needed proof she wasn't unraveling. So she reached out to others, people from message boards, forums, academic records, individuals who had claimed to dream of a town that didn't exist. She interviewed them all. A man from Oregon who described the gas lamps as syncopated hearts. A girl from Vermont who remembered playing hopscotch on streets that pulsed. They all said the same thing. They'd never met each other, but they'd all been to Marrowick, and every time they left, something followed them back. Then there was Harper Hensley, a woman in her 50s who lived on the outskirts of town. Nervous hands, voice like a rope fraying. "I grew up there," she whispered. "Long time ago, before the dreaming started." She showed Ellis a photo. A young girl standing in front of the same carousel Ellis had seen in the brochure. The same bent horses, the same chipped red paint. "I moved away," Harper said. "Changed my name, covered every mirror, burned every letter, but it still remembers me." Ellis asked what she meant. Harper looked at her with eyes full of storm. "I had to erase the door," she said. "It kept finding me." That night, Harper set fire to her own house. The flames reached 30 feet before the fire trucks came. No one was hurt, but every door in the home had been spray painted shut, and in the ashes, a single unburnt object, a doorknob, cold to the touch. It pulsed once, then stopped. Ellis didn't sleep well after that, but when she did, she dreamed longer. And when she woke, she noticed things. Her handwriting had changed, slanted left. A set of journal pages had appeared that she did not remember writing. One entry read, "I've always lived here." Her reflection looked softer, unfamiliar, like someone else was blinking from behind her own eyes. Then came the drawer. She hadn't opened that cabinet in years. It used to contain old research notes, backup drives, cables. Now it was empty, save for a small wooden box, etched on the lid in tiny serif letters, Marrowick, E. Crane. Inside were her baby teeth, each one cleaned, arranged in a tight circle, and in the center, a folded scrap of carousel ticket, stamped with a date that didn't exist. February 31st. Her nose began to bleed. The carpet below darkened. She stumbled back, and for a brief moment, she felt the floor breathe beneath her, just once. A soft, steady inhale, then silence. The voicemail was gone. Her call log, blank. The newspaper, missing. But the smell of lavender and ash lingered in her room. And somewhere in the house, a clock chimed 13. Part 3. The clock tower sleeps. She wired the electrodes herself. No assistants, no observers, no second opinions. Just Ellis Crane, alone in the sleep lab at 2 a.m., surrounded by machines that hummed like distant bees. She'd calibrated the EEG, prepped the dream capture software, started the audio recorders. She had one goal: to enter Marrowick with full lucidity, to confront the town on her terms. As the sedatives took hold and her breath slowed, she whispered the word to herself. Like a password, Marrowick. Darkness took her. Then, the sound of bells, deep and wet as if wrung underwater. She opened her eyes to pale, rippling fog, and beneath her feet, warm cobblestone that trembled like muscle. Gas lamps flickered, but slower this time. The air was heavier, more intentional. She was lucid. She could feel it. The dream obeyed gravity, sound, pain. She dug her nails into her palm and bled. This was no ordinary sleep. She began to walk. The buildings had filled in. Shops with names like Wayne's Antiques, the Needle's Eye, and the Hushing Post. Windows reflected not her face, but fragments of memory. A swing set from her childhood, her old dorm room, a birthday cake that she never remembered eating. She passed no people, only the sound of breathing trees. Then she saw it, rising at the center of the town like a blackened tooth. The clock tower. It loomed, ancient, silent. Its clock face was cracked, the hands frozen at 11:11, but the pendulum below moved. Barely. It swung in slow, syrupy arcs, like time dragging itself through tar. She stepped inside. The interior was impossible, spiraling stairs that bent in ways they shouldn't. Walls lined with hundreds of clocks, none of them ticking in unison. A great heartbeat echoed from somewhere above. At the center, waiting at the base of the stairs, was a figure. A tall woman, in mourning black, veil drawn low, eyes like glass marbles. She spoke without moving her mouth. "My name is Sunday," she said. "I keep the time." Ellis asked what this place was. Sunday tilted her head. "Time doesn't move here unless someone forgets what hour it is." Ellis stared up at the frozen clock hands. "What happens if I look away?" Sunday smiled. "Then you'll see what forgetting looks like." Ellis turned her back to the clock, counted to 10, turned again, and everything had changed. The tower was rotting. The gears were rusted. The stairs were broken teeth. Sunday was gone. Her veil crumpled on the floor like shed skin. Outside the window, Marrowick had decayed. Buildings sagged. Names had worn away. The sky had curdled into a bruised gray, cracked with faint streaks of violet. The trees no longer breathed. They watched. She ran. Down the spiraling stairs that now bent sideways. Through the streets where doorways bled black fluid. Where shadows moved before she did. She didn't know where she was going, only that something was following. The bells began to ring again, distorted, backwards. Each toll sounded closer. She screamed for Sunday, and Sunday's voice replied, not aloud, but inside her skull. "You remembered the wrong hour." Ellis collapsed to the street. The cobblestone pulsed harder now, like a town panicking in its sleep. She woke with a gasp. Back in the lab, her EEG machine flatlined, no REM recorded, as if she'd never dreamed at all. She looked at the wall clock. Its hands were missing. Her phone buzzed. Every device in the room, her tablet, her laptop, her smartwatch, all showed the same time, 4:44 a.m., and her wristwatch. It was ticking backward. Each click echoed louder than the last. Click, click, click. And from somewhere in the lab, faint but unmistakable, came the sound of a bell ringing in reverse. Part 4. Someone woke up wrong. The man in bed 3 looked like Simon Keller. Same beard, same scar across the brow from a biking accident last year, same mole on the neck. But when he opened his eyes, it wasn't Simon. He blinked. Slowly, like someone adjusting to a different pair of eyes. Then he smiled. A smile too wide, too strange. Ellis approached the bed cautiously. "Simon?" she asked. He shook his head, the smile vanishing. "No, not anymore." He looked around the room like it wasn't quite real. "I used to be someone else, long ago. I remember being a woman, a librarian, or maybe a boy. It changes, but I stayed too long, too many nights. Now I'm whatever's left." Ellis froze. Where did Simon go? The man, or whatever wore Simon's skin, tilted his head. He forgot the sound of his own name. And when you forget something, in Marrowick, it remembers for you. It builds around what you've lost. Ellis felt her blood chill. He leaned closer, eyes now glassy and full of storm. "Every dream has a memory," he whispered. "Marrowick is made of the ones we lost." Security removed him after that. He didn't resist, but as they dragged him out, he called over his shoulder. Check your birth certificate. Go ahead. Try to prove you were ever born. That night, Ellis did. She searched her files, her records, the digital backups. Nothing. Her name was gone from the university's staff registry. Her birth certificate couldn't be pulled up. Her driver's license expired last year, but the photo wasn't hers. It got worse. She opened her email, scanned the last few messages from her mother. Each was signed, "Love you always, Claire." M. Her mother's name was Margaret. She called. No answer. She called again. A third time. Finally, the line picked up. A woman answered. Not unfamiliar, but not right either. "Hello?" the voice said. Ellis steadied herself. "Mom." A pause. "I'm sorry, who is this?" Her throat tightened. "Mom, it's Ellis, your daughter." Another pause. "I think you have the wrong number." "I'm not, what are you talking about? I was just at your house last month." The voice on the line sighed. It was a tired sound, like someone watching a play they'd already seen 100 times. "I never had a daughter." Click. The line went dead. Ellis stood in her kitchen staring at her phone, heart pounding. The lights flickered. She turned on her laptop. Her desktop photo had changed. No longer the picture of her and her mother on the lake. Now it was a carousel. The same one from Marrowick, and at the edge of the image, her own 7-year-old self, flickering, barely visible. That night, she dreamt again. No sedatives, no machines. She barely made it to bed before the fog took her. She found herself standing before a crumbling building, a school, its brick walls weeping black vines. She stepped inside. The halls were lined with lockers. Each one had a name scratched into the metal, but they weren't students' names. They were memories. The taste of strawberries. First, Snowfall. Dad's laugh. "Your real name?" She opened one. Inside was a set of baby shoes, worn, soft, stained red at the toes. Further down the hall was a door, the principal's office. Inside, a mirror. She approached it, slowly, and saw not herself, but a child. Her child self, 7 years old, wearing the sunflower hair clip. The child blinked, then smiled, then whispered, "You're almost ready to come home." In the reflection behind her, shapes moved, townsfolk, lining the hallway, unmoving, flickering like bad film. Each one had a different face. Each one stared. They didn't breathe. They waited. She turned around in the dream. No one was there. But when she looked back at the mirror, her reflection was gone, replaced by a photo. The carousel. This time, no children stood in it. Only the town and the clock tower, and a new name etched across the bottom in gold lettering. "Welcome home, Evelyn Crane." Evelyn, not Ellis. She woke up screaming. Part 5. The town is still dreaming. It started with the sound of scratching. Ellis walked into the lab and found Dr. Morton, one of her lead technicians, hunched against the break room wall, carving something into the drywall with a scalpel. His eyes were closed. His mouth was moving. But the sound wasn't a whisper. It was breathing. She pulled him away. His fingers were raw. Blood smudged the lettering. But the word was clear. Marrowick. When he finally woke, he screamed. Not at her. At the fluorescent lights at his own hands. And when she asked why he'd done it, he said nothing. Just looked down at his palm and muttered, "Teeth don't grow back, right?" He wasn't the only one. 2 days later, she caught Assistant Jenna sleepwalking through the hallway with a bag full of teeth. Her own. Rattling in a velvet pouch, each one wrapped in tissue. Ellis checked the security footage. Night after night, her staff wandered the halls. They wrote notes in languages no one could trace, left fruit peels in neat circles around their own desks, and every time they woke, they remembered nothing. But their eyes said otherwise. Ellis was sleeping longer, deeper, and waking, slower, Sometimes she'd rise from bed and her body wouldn't follow. Other times it felt like peeling herself out of a wet skin. The air in her apartment changed, heavier, scented like orchards and soil. Then, one night, she returned to Marrowick. Only, it was different this time. New paths had emerged. The fog was clearer now, not hiding but revealing. She followed a road she'd never seen, its stones arranged like vertebrae. And at the end, a gate, iron, wrought into the shape of open mouths. Beyond, an orchard. The trees were bone white. Their branches groaned softly despite the windless air. And growing from them, glass fruit. Each fruit was translucent, delicate, humming. She plucked one. Inside, a memory, not a vision, a memory she could feel. She saw herself at 16, sitting on a hill crying over a letter from a college she'd never applied to. Another fruit, a child version of her, of lighting a candle underwater. More fruit. Her mother, the one who now claimed not to know her, tucking her in at night saying, "Don't forget the orchard, baby. The orchard remembers." She turned to leave, and standing in the path was Sunday, face pale as moonlight, voice deeper than before. "You're not dreaming, Marrowick," Sunday said. "It's dreaming you." Ellis wanted to scream, but no sound came, only the soft rattle of fruit falling around her. She looked up. The scarecrows in the orchard had moved. There were hundreds, each one dressed in clothes from different eras. Wartime uniforms, 1950s sweaters, lab coats, her own jacket. They whispered, not with mouths, with the wind that moved through them. She backed away. The trees groaned. She turned to run, but the path had vanished. Only orchard, only glass, only eyes. Then, blackness. Waking was an act of violence. She gasped awake, skin burning. The air was thick, wet, like she'd been sleeping inside lungs. She stood dizzy, looked in the mirror, and saw something carved across her back. Letters stretching shoulder to hip. She turned. A map, faintly glowing, etched like veins beneath the skin. The outline of Marrowick, the streets, the tower, the orchard, and a new section pulsing faintly red labeled in looping script. "Home," she screamed, ripped off her shirt, turned on all the lights, then froze. Her shadow was not her own. It stood in place for a moment, then without warning, walked away. She watched it move, separating from her feet, peeling like old wallpaper, walking calmly into the next room. And then it was gone. She fell to her knees, weeping, because somewhere, behind the thin walls of sleep, Marrowick was still dreaming. And now it dreamed in her voice. Part 6. We all woke up somewhere else. The line between sleep and waking had dissolved like mist. Ellis sat on the edge of a bed in a room that felt both foreign and familiar. The wallpaper peeled in delicate curls, revealing glimpses of a faded pattern, blue roses tangled with thorned vines. A cracked porcelain doll lay half buried beneath the windowsill. This was her childhood bedroom, or at least it looked like it. But she had never seen this house before. The floorboards creaked beneath her feet, groaning like the breath of an ancient beast. Outside the window, the sky bent unnaturally, folding like paper being creased again and again. Clouds shimmered in impossible angles, and the stars blinked, in strange rhythms like a heartbeat skipping. Voices drifted through the air, low murmurs repeating in a loop that tangled around her mind. She pulled her knees to her chest, struggling to hold on to the sense of self that slipped farther away with every passing moment. Her final recordings, saved on her laptop, the device that tethered her to the waking world, were no longer reliable. The footage flickered. She watched herself in two places at once. One image sitting at the bedside, eyes hollow and distant. The other standing by the doorway, reaching for something unseen. The audio glitched, voices layering over each other, whispering fragments she couldn't grasp. But one phrase broke through clearly. "You're a returner now." She didn't understand at first. But Sunday, her eerie guide from Marrowick, appeared in the flickering shadows. His eyes were a dull gray, empty, yet infinite. "Returners," he said, voice like the creak of old wood, "are those who have slipped the cycle, neither here nor there, neither alive nor forgotten." Ellis's throat tightened. "What cycle?" "The one that keeps Marrowick breathing," Sunday said. "The one that folds time, erases memories, and traps us in the spaces between waking and dreaming." He gestured toward the window, where the sky continued to fold upon itself, paper thin and fragile. "You have a choice." Ellis looked at him, her heart pounding so loudly it drowned out the murmurs. To wake up and forget everything. To leave this place behind, blank and unmarked. To return to the world where Marrowick is nothing but a fading shadow in your mind. He paused, letting the weight of those words settle like dust. Or to stay, to remember, to become part of the town's story. Ellis's fingers trembled. She thought of the faces she'd seen, her colleagues trapped in endless loops, her mother who forgot she existed, the orchard with glass fruit that held her memories like fragile cages. "I don't want to forget," she whispered. "Not again." Sunday nodded slowly, a thin smile curling across his pale lips. "Then you will be remembered." The room shuddered. The walls breathed with a slow, pulsing rhythm, as if the house itself were alive. Ellis closed her eyes. When she opened them again, the screen faded to white. Silence, then a new sound, a hospital monitor beeping steadily. A slow, shallow breath, a patient stirs, eyes flutter open, a voice cracked and raw whispers, "Marrowick." The nurse at the bedside turns, frowning. "Did you say something?" The patient's gaze is distant, haunted. The word slips again. "Marrowick." Somewhere, far away, a clock tower ticks backward. The cycle has begun again. Marrowick waits and dreams and remembers. In the endless night between worlds, the town breathes, and no one ever truly wakes. If you thought that was unsettling, just remember, Marrowick is always waiting in the shadows of your dreams. What would you choose? To forget, or to be remembered forever? If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss when we dive back into the darkness. Thanks for watching, and sweet dreams, and if you can,